I tried to recreate the time warp effect in Chungking Express. After I finished watching Chungking Express, I thought that's a real-time effect that they use is pretty cool and I would like to try it. But before long, my negative thoughts came in. So you really think you can do this, bro? In this video, I'm going to show you how I did it and how you can do it too in your videos. Cue the fucking montage, baby. The first step was to watch Chungking Express again. The second step was to find out how did they manage to do it, and then figure out if I can actually do it on an FX3. Is this something that one person can do, or do I need support? After days of doing research, the first method that I settled on was that of playing around with the shutter speed. Using a low shutter speed means that you get a smeared motion blur. Whilst this method works, the subject doesn't stay in focus, which is different from what was done in Chungking Express. So I had to go back and do more research just to see what exactly did they do in Chungking Express. With doubt creeping in, I knew that I had a few moments before he convinced me to quit. After spending more hours doing research, I finally found out how they were able to create this effect. They managed to do this by using two cinematic techniques, the first one being undercranking and the second one being step printing. Combining the two gives you the effect that was made in Chungking Express. The good news is I could achieve undercranking in the camera.
Undercranking is a filmmaking technique where the camera is run at a slower frame rate than the standard playback rate, typically 24 frames per second for film or 30 frames per second for video. This means fewer frames are recorded per second. When the footage is played back at the normal frame rate, the action appears to move faster than it occurred in real life.
Now obviously this is not the desired effect that we are going for. In order to get the effect that we're going for, we now have to introduce the second filmmaking technique that they use, which is step printing.
Step printing is a filmmaking technique used to alter the perceived motion or aesthetic of a shot by duplicating frames during the printing process, resulting in slower or stuttered motion. It creates a unique dreamlike or surreal effect used in artistic or emotional sequences. The scene is filmed at a standard high frame rate, for example 24 frames per second. In post-production or during printing, individual frames are repeated multiple times. When played at the standard frame rate, the repeated frames create a slower motion or strobe-like effect. By repeating frames, the action appears slower than it was filmed, even if the original footage wasn't shot at a high frame rate. The technique can produce a choppy or jerky quality to motion, contrasting with the smoothness of traditional slow motion.
In order to achieve this effect in your editing software, you have to do some math.
Speed to account for the slower frame rate. A playback speed of 24 FPS divided by your shooting speed of 6 FPS equals 4. In other words, to get back to normal speed, you need to step print each frame 4 times, or slow your footage down in editing software by 1/4, or 25%.
With the research part done, now it's time to film.
After filming myself by placing the camera on the tripod, I realized that I could not create the motion blur no matter how much movement I had in the shot. I went from walking to running, and still I could not replicate Chungking Express.
After all that hard work, I knew I had to find somebody to film. And this for me is probably the hardest part about this whole process, because I don't really know a lot of people in Vancouver who are willing to join me for free. So I set out on a journey to find someone, anyone, anyway. Day and night I searched and searched, and I could not find anybody, and I was getting worried that I'll not be able to get these shots done, because it's like, how do you even explain to somebody that, hey, I would like to film you because I'm doing an experiment based on Chungking Express. We have a lot of actors here, but they are not willing to devote their time to this because, you know, people need to be paid for their work. So I set out on different journeys every day, trying to find any stranger, anybody, any friend. Still, there was nobody. So without giving up, I tried to come up with plans of how maybe I could clone myself and somehow do handheld, or maybe I should find a second shooter. The second shooter was not to be found. Doubt was creeping in every day, and I thought I would not be able to actually achieve this. But it's not in my nature to give up. I kept trying and trying and trying to find someone. I went all over the city asking people, can I please film you? It won't take time, but the answer is always no, which is a lesson. I think that in filmmaking, the hardest thing to do ever is to convince anybody to do something for free, which is interesting because we get into it for our passion, but of course we all want to be paid for our work. And finally, I found him. I found somebody who said yes. Now I could rest. Sykes. Once you have the person, once you have the footage, that's when the real work starts, because the story has to make sense. It cannot just be me filming whatever I like. So I went straight to work. I was editing. I think I edited this. It took me almost like 3 days, and yeah, I kept on doubting myself. I didn't know if this would work out. Please subscribe to the channel. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers, because when I finally got the footage, my computer started to smoke.
At the end of the day, with all these things, they're just tools to tell a story, and you have to be willing to tell the story you want to tell. But I eventually got it done, so please enjoy the final video.
Hello?